Hi everybody, I'm Tom Dawson. Like all these people here, you probably already know the thrill of quarter horse racing. You know what it's like to watch America's fastest athlete speed through the stretch at up to 50 miles an hour. You've seen countless blanket finishes, and if you're lucky, you've even picked a few winners. Now, if you think that picking a winner is exhilarating, try the rush you get when your very own horse wins a race.
Oh, there's no feeling like it. I mean, it's, I guess it's like watching your kids in their first ball game, or watching your kids do well. And you get so attached to these horses, they're just like one of your children. They're like one of the family.
I always remember the sound of 10 women screaming and all their family and all the people around us, and there's nothing better. It's a contagious type thing, and for the sport of horse racing, quarter horse racing, it was unbelievably fun.
Whether or not it's one I've sold, you know, one that I raised and sold, or one that I own, still the same thing. I mean, I get excited. If you don't get excited about it, something's wrong with you.
You have a horse, he runs in a race, he's the only one you see. Whether you're first or last or in the middle, you're focused on him. You really don't see anything else. Quite a thrill, and I've been doing it for 25 years and I still get that same thrill. It's fantastic.
That's just a sample of the ownership experience. But like any new enterprise, getting started can be the hardest part. That's why the American Quarter Horse Association has created this video guide. It is intended to help you make informed decisions and maximize the experience of owning and racing the American quarter horse. So you've decided to seriously investigate the prospect of becoming the owner of a racing American quarter horse. If so, there's a couple of things you'll need. Obviously horses and a trainer. But which comes first? And how do you find the situation that's right for you? If you have spent some time at the races, you may know people who are currently involved in the sport. If so, they can be a valuable asset.
When I first started out, I got with some people that knew the business a lot better than I did. And I actually hung around the racetrack for about 2 years, 2.5 years before I ever got involved in my first horse. And the first one I got involved with was a partnership. And that's a real good way for a new owner to get into. Get in with somebody that's had some experience, have done some things before, and they can kind of bring you along.
Should you join an existing group, chances are there's already a trainer on board. But if not, selecting someone to handle your racing operation is a critical first step. And while a trainer's technical expertise is very important, you need someone you can talk to.
You have to be comfortable with the trainer, and then I think you have to respect that trainer for their professionalism. Just like if I were building a home, I don't know the slightest thing about contracting. I would trust a contractor to build that home and trust that they're going to build it in a manner that I'm pleased with. I think a owner-trainer should have a similar relationship.
So how do you find this skilled and compatible trainer? First, get suggestions from acquaintances within the industry and obtain information from your local racing secretary, horseman's group, or AQHA affiliate. Then, by all means, investigate.
Go to the barn area and visit some trainers. They need to visit 4 or 5 of them. Don't just go off of a record or something. Go to a barn and see how clean it is. There's plenty of feed there. That guy's got good help. It's neat and clean. He runs a good ship. It's no different than any other business. And if the horses look good and they look comfortable and they're friendly, well then you know you got a good environment.
Just like picking winners in the clubhouse, careful analysis of past performances can be helpful.
One, you look at the stats. You look at who's successful, who's not. Although some of the top trainers probably are a great big barn and you might get lost in them. So my advice would be to look for somebody who is successful yet has a small barn that you can sort of fit in and not be lost in.
A trainer has to be hardworking, very conscientious. I like a trainer that works day and night, looks at every horse every day. Someone who will doesn't need to inundate you with information, but keeps you informed when it's appropriate, when you really should know something. Ask your feelings when it comes down to critical decisions, and who's honest. and most of them are.
It's important to identify your own personal criteria before trainer interviews begin. If you know what type of horse you want to acquire, you might look for someone whose style suits the stable. Like doctors, some conditioners have specialties.
I think the first thing you might look at is race results. And I'm not necessarily saying the person who wins the most races, but look at percentages and see how many horses a trainer starts and if they do well with those horses and if they're competing with the caliber of horse that you're interested in. In other words, if you're interested in claimers, look at the person who does well with claimers. If you're interested in the stakes horse, look at the person who has a good performance record with stakes horses.
Those statistics are generally available through your local racetrack or the AQHA. But remember, your inquiry should go beyond pure business considerations.
The guy might be a super trainer, but if you can't communicate with him, you will not enjoy it. You want to communicate with him to where that you can understand what's going on. Because if you don't, no matter if you're winning races, you won't enjoy it.
Among the helpful tools are new owners seminars, which are held in various locations. These forums allow no-risk interaction with established owners, trainers, and racing officials.
Well, if you're, like I was, a total novice to start with, you had no idea where to start. And by going to these seminars, I pick up a new point at each one. 90% of what I know about it, I learned in these seminars.
No matter which information source you use, remember to consider both compatibility and horsemanship in choosing a trainer. Or you can explore the partnership option to help straighten out that learning curve. This is the starting gate where American quarter horse races begin. And we're here because now it's time for you and your trainer to decide which type of horse will get your racing operation started. Now, there are several ways to proceed, so here are some opinions on your various options. Like any good advisor, your trainer can do a better job by knowing where the owner wants to go.
I think the first thing you need to do is evaluate their personal goals. If they want to see a horse run frequently so that they can just have the joy of ownership, then they might look at claiming a horse and going to the racetrack to buy a horse, is how we put it. However, if the person has maybe longer term goals and they're looking more at the financial rewards and they're willing to take a bigger gamble, that's when you might go to the yearling sales and pick something that you can have in a staked in a futurity and develop into a higher earnings individual. And so it's an individual assessment.
Acquiring a horse that's currently racing is a little like free agency. Your franchise gets an established player without waiting for a draft choice to develop.
I would go to a horse that's already been running to get your feet wet, because if you buy a 2-year-old or a yearling, put it in training, you get so much cost in it before you ever even get to the races that you can get burnt out by paying all this money. Then if the horse is not a runner, you know, it's a bad experience. But if you get one that, say, is a claiming horse, you go in with a couple people, claim it, you know, sort of know what you're getting. You're not going to get a world champion, but you're going to have fun. You're going to see what it's all about, and I think that's a good way to get your feet wet.
One way to proceed is to buy privately at a negotiated price, or you can claim a horse for a specified amount using a regulated process. Claiming rules vary from state to state and can be explained in detail by your trainer. The basic requirements are an owner's license, the cash to buy the horse, and the completion of an official claim form. Now this is a completely different scene, the sale arena. Here you can buy horses of all ages and descriptions, including those draft choices we mentioned earlier, the yearlings. Many believe they provide the best entree to the sport's big events, futurities, and derbies.
There's more money to run at. I think, you know, you can watch the thing develop. You can take it from the time it leaves the yearling sale. You can take it to the trainer. You can go through the entire process, and maybe or maybe not it'll be successful, but at least you'll know what the entire process involves. Then the next year you'll be a lot more knowledgeable.
Buying yearlings at auction requires patience. At the very least, it will be several months before your purchase is ready for the races. The upside, unlimited potential.
Most of the time, if you claim one for $5,000 or buy one for $5,000, that's what he is. But if you buy one of those young horses, it's like having a Christmas package. When you open that present, you don't know what's going to come out. It can be from A to Z. You might get lucky enough to get the All-American Fraternity winner that way.
Some owners might prefer to get a smaller piece of a bigger deal. And that brings us back to partnerships.
the charge, the feel, the fun that you have is the same whether you own it by yourself, 10% of it, 20%, 30%. So you spread your risk, you get people involved, you spread their risk, and you can get a chance at maybe 8 or 9 horses at 10% than just one horse all by yourself. And I think it's a great way for new people especially to get involved.
One of the most high-profile American quarter horse partnerships raced Old Habits, who earned over $680,000 in his career. They were known as the Girls.
We had gals that had never had a horse in their entire life. We had others that had been involved in horse racing. 10 women that show up at a racetrack in red and, you know, with all the fun stuff that went along with it, from the hats to the jewelry to the fingernails to, you know, at one point a car. It was a lot of fun.
Each one has brought something to the group that maybe is horse expertise, conformation, various things. In my particular case, I had owned a manufacturing company, so I have a lot of detail, organizational kind of things. So I've been able to bring that into the group, and that's my contribution until I learn more about horses.
Many owners who start out in partnerships eventually go out on their own, using the lessons they've learned. Others, like the successful Dutch Masters Group, believe in maintaining the shared experience.
First of all, don't give up right away. Okay, this is something that you have to live, learn, and I think it's good to get in with a couple people. I mean, you share the expense, you share the purses, but the fun is doubled or tripled. It really is. I mean, if we were here singly today, we'd be excited, but with the 3 of us, I mean, it multiplies exponentially.
Some owners will gravitate toward the breeding end of the business. These are generally people who enjoy having close involvement with the foals from their first steps all the way to the track or sale ring. For those with the proper facilities, breeding can be a hobby, an occupation, or a lifestyle. Well, once you have a horse and a trainer, you can officially call yourself an owner. But are you an informed owner? In this venture, as with many others, especially when investment capital is required, knowledge is protection. And here at the races, the more you know, the more fun you can have. In the 18th century, Thomas Gray wrote, "Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise." It's obvious that he never owned a racehorse.
I think a new owner should subscribe to every publication they can get their hands on, Quarter Racing Journal, Track, whatever, and read as much as they can. There's so many publications out there, there's so much stuff on the internet now, that I think a new owner can get so much information, and I think they've got so much more information at hand than we did 20 years ago.
If you're just starting out, there's almost nothing you're going to decide without help. And it's funny because when you first start out, you think you really are going to decide some things, and you shouldn't. You know, things like who's going to ride the horse and what's jockey and which race. But when you've been in it for a while, you can really help make decisions with the trainer.
Patience is indeed a virtue, but make it a proactive patience by speeding your education. In horse racing, lineage plays a significant role. Therefore, the study of pedigrees can increase your involvement as a member of the team. Sales catalogs provide comprehensive pedigree information. They contain sire statistics and facts on several generations of the female side. Increase your knowledge about the farms where horses are raised. A poorly reared individual can become the equine equivalent of a troubled teenager. Some owners also study conformation to recognize the proper physical characteristics of the racehorse. Once accomplished, you are headed toward developing your own philosophies.
Well, first of all, I like to go look at a yearling. Don't even carry the catalog with me. I like the individuals. I like for you to go find the individual, and then if I really like that individual, then I'll look at the catalog, see what he is. I don't like to be influenced by the catalog and, you know, how great the family is and et cetera, et cetera. However, when I find that individual, I want him to have a good family, and then that dictates what you want to pay for him.
But even if all horses look alike to you, there are plenty of other useful things to absorb. Try to become familiar with racetrack procedures in places like the racing office. This is the nerve center for many activities that affect your stable. It's a busy place, but friendly to inquisitive owners. A vital early lesson is to be realistic about a horse's abilities. You wouldn't expect your college alma mater to beat the Super Bowl champs, so don't put your horse in that same position.
If you don't run horses where they belong, you won't win any races. It's that simple. And that's why they have claiming ranks, condition allowances, and stakes horses. If you run them where they belong, you're going to be from 5 to 1 or better on the tote board. You're going to have a shot every time. If you look up there and your horse is 25 to 1 or better, you've entered him in the wrong spot.
If you're so inclined, you might consider the example of Frankie Martinez, who trains his own horses under the family plan.
I have a little 6-horse barn at home. I have a little track, 220-yard gates. My little boy is my groom, Frankie Martinez III. I enter horses all over the western part of the United States so I could take my kids' vacations. Luckily, the horses have paid all our vacations so far. We've done real good.
And Frankie does all this while holding down a full-time job outside of racing. Once involved in ownership, you will begin to form your own opinions. And anytime you don't know, seek advice. American Quarter Horse Racing is the most helpful enterprise you'll ever find when it comes to sharing information. Well, by now you may be wondering about the cost of all this fun. You've already spent money for your horse, but to make it here to the winner's circle, that asset must be properly maintained. Now, some expenses are periodic, others occur regularly because, like you, your horse eats every day. Longtime owners often advise newcomers to enter the sport with their economic eyes open.
If they're in it by themselves, they better be ready to spend about $1,500 a month to get a horse in shape and get him ready to run, and entry fees and all of this stuff till they start seeing some results. And that's one of the major things they need to do. Be sure they're going to be comfortable with that when they get into it so that they're in there for the long pull.
Obviously, you want the best for your trusty steed, and to provide that, the trainer will charge a daily fee. This covers regular care, housing, feeding, and exercise. It's known in the trade as day money. The amount charged will be higher when your horse is in active training and lower during layup periods. Daily fees also vary in different locations. Other owners can give you the most accurate picture of what is typical in your area. And since day money basically sustains the operation, a trainer must look elsewhere for profit.
We got to win them big races, buddy. That's how we make money. That's the gravy. Really and truly, the day pay, unless you know, if you got hundreds ahead, it's actually just a push. We're just working like the working man does. You know, our gravy is winning the All-American and getting our 10% of a big purse like that. That's what makes us survive.
The owner will bear the extra expense to make a horse eligible for those bigger purses, which are normally stakes races. There will also be charges for outside professional services, such as veterinary bills. They will accrue not only when a problem arises, but as a part of regular health maintenance. Like people, horses need shoes, and some need special foot care. The horseshoer or farrier will provide those services. It will be necessary to transport your horse from track to track or other locations. Some trainers provide this service themselves or hire a professional transportation company. These expenses are a given, and new owners are advised to plan accordingly.
A lot of times we'll have people start partnerships and we advise them to escrow some money for those expenses so that the expenses incurred during the year don't have a negative impact on the fund that you're having as you go along.
The horseman's bookkeeper will serve as your racetrack banker. Winnings will be deposited to your account and funds required for race day expenses and fees will be withdrawn. When you win a race, the trainer receives a bonus, typically 10% of the winner's share of the purse. The jockey gets 10% as well, and sometimes a little love. Over time, questions will arise, and whether they are economic or strategic, communication between owner and trainer is critical.
I tell you what, at Bassett Racing, that owner has a lot to do with our racing organization. There's not a lot of decisions made without that owner being involved in it. So I think that's what it takes to be successful. I think that's what keeps the owner and the trainer compatible, is to let them know what's going on, let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. So if you do it that way, you don't have any problems. Everybody knows what's going on.
On the regulatory side, you will be required to obtain an owner's license from the State Racing Commission. There is a nominal fee charged, and the licenses are generally renewable annually. There are also some discretionary expenses, such as equine mortality insurance, which you will encounter along the way. As always, being informed is the best protection. And remember that communication, patience, and trust can help lead to this. As you've seen, owning a racing American quarter horse makes you the participant in a live and exciting sporting event, complete with social interaction and the opportunity for financial reward. You probably still have a number of questions, and if so, here are some places to look for the answers. forahorse.com is a free referral service and interactive website from AQHA. It will be your most comprehensive resource for horse-related referrals and equine education. The Breeder Referral Service brings AQHA breeders together with prospective clients. You'll find a range of services including breeding, mare care, foaling, and the sale of conditioned racehorses. The Professional Horseman Association will help you find a trainer in your area who can assist with buying, conditioning, and racing your American Quarter Horse. If you're not already a subscriber, check out American Quarter Horse Racing Journal. It's the industry's leading publication for racing American Quarter Horse news. Log on to equineline.com, AQHA's official provider of tabulated racing and catalog-style pedigree information. And for the latest on current events, leaders, industry news, new owners seminars, and more, visit AQHARacing.com or call AQHA Customer Service at 1-800-414-RIDE. You can order in-depth brochures and guides designed for the novice and expert alike. You'll also find links and phone numbers to numerous industry supporters, including racetracks and your AQHA state racing affiliate. You'll also find information on the MB&A America Racing Challenge. It's a series of regional stakes races in several divisions that culminates with the annual Challenge Championships. All owners, regardless of their level of involvement, should consider participating in the MB&A America Racing Challenge. There's something for everyone. Now it's time to take that first step toward this most pleasurable of equine enterprises.
It's not just the horses, but the people. And I think that's the biggest thing that drives me and motivates me. I've looked at thoroughbreds, I've looked at other aspects of the horse business, but the quarter horse business is just a great big family, and I love it.
And so will you.